So people who face Northeast do not read the map. Face, usually we talk about those who argue for Northeast, as opposed to those who face Northeast. But in this case of reading a map, the people who face Northeast are included too, if they looked at a map and face Northeast anyway. How can a person look at the map and then, yani, for the purpose of his Qibla, and then face Northeast also anyway? Then he didn't really read it. And perhaps he didn't understand it. And many of them, they don't understand how to look at the map properly. Subhanallah. This lack of simple and universal knowledge makes non-Muslims chuckle at the Northeasters. Even though for them doesn't matter that non-Muslims are laughing at them, because they see that the opinion of the non-Muslim is irrelevant. And even if the opinion of the non-Muslim is irrelevant here, the reason they're laughing at them because it is really a massive blunder, and one that someone might make fun of. So challenge them to go with you to a university campus and ask anyone who walks by. Who are the people in the universities? Those are the ones who are getting higher education and they live for the spirit of debate. Go with one of those people who's insisting that the Northeast is right, whether he says Southeast is wrong or he says Southeast is right too. Regardless, if he's just saying Northeast is right and he's only that much, then go with him to a university campus and then ask anyone who goes by, any student, any college student or professor. They will never do it because they know what they're going to answer. Then that's going to show you that they know how to look at the map. When they refuse that challenge, they're going to know how to look at the map. You said, I asked my geography teacher in college years ago. He was laughing. He couldn't believe that people face Northeast. Yes, and one sister told me a story. She told me that she went to a place where they sell maps. Maybe, I don't know if they make maps there too, but they sell maps. So she said to them, what would you say if I told you that people in North America facing Northeast, to turning Northeast to face Mecca? They said to her, no way. And she said she was in there for a while. And then a guy came to her with a globe and he put a string over the globe. He said, is this what they did? And she said, yes, that's what they did. And he said, no way. Subhanallah wa bihamdih. Some of them do not even know what a map is or isn't. Because several of them say that the globe is not a map. I heard that numerous times, saying that a globe is not a map. One of them said, and this is copy paste here, and again, a globe is not a map. If I wrote this, I'd put a comma after again, but he didn't put the comma there, so I left it. And again, a globe is not a map, he said. They are two completely different things. But I did add the exclamation point, though. For transparency. It was a period there. More than one of them said, maps are flat. The earth is round. That's copy paste too. It is as if he is saying that there are no maps of the earth, because according to him, maps are flat and the earth is round. So then you can say to such a person, and if you choose any of these questions to ask, you need to commit to it. And that's in any debate you have, if you're debating for the truth. And you offer an argument, and you ask your opponent a question, or you give your opponent an example of why he's wrong. Don't go off of there, stick to it. Here's the first question. If the globe is not a map, why does it have latitude and longitude lines on it? Now I want you to answer me. I didn't ask you just to expel my breath. So what he's going to say to this? I'm not sure how he's going to answer this question. I don't anticipate an answer here. I don't know. But I know for sure it's not going to be a good answer. And I'm not going to get off of this question. Here, I expect that I'm going to shut the conversation down with this question. Or here's another question. If the globe is not a map, what is it? Is it a mere ball? I want you to answer this question too. If I chose that question, but I'm not going to ask both of those questions. Because when you debate with a person, just choose one question. Just choose one proof, one only, and then you debate around that point. Don't get off of it. Like I gave you the example, perhaps, like those who train in boxing, and when they spar, they put their foot into a tire. There's two of them. They put their foot into a tire, each one of them the same tire, and you cannot pull your foot out of that tire. That tire right there, that's your proof. You can't come off of it. Rather, you're going to beat your opponent up all around that tire there. Or that tire there is your example that you're giving him to refute him. You're not going to get off of that example, which I saw one time when a brother was debating with some noodle about an issue. So the brother said, well, according to you, I mean, what you're saying is like saying that if a person's relative was assassinated, that we can fight the caliph to get justice. So the one that's correct example he gave. So the one he was arguing with told him, no, that's not what it means. Then it was like the brother who gave his own example was not confident in his own example. So he didn't stand his ground. He didn't stand his ground, say, yes, that is what it means. Rather, that person got him right, immediately got him off of his own example. So the debate continued in another way. That example got lost and forgotten. And it was a good example. He asked me after, what do you think about the debate? I told him, you gave him an example and you didn't stick to it. Either, yeah, as if you're not confident in your own example. So that's a very important debating strategy. And here's the third question. If every map is flat, what is the point of calling a map that is not a globe a flat map? Why call it a flat map? Why not just call it a map? If every map is flat, calling it a flat map has an implication, as if to imply that there is another kind of map that's not flat. So the essence of their mistake is that they looked at the globe not as a map, but as a mere ball. As we said plenty of times, and this is repetition. Repetition to solidify the case here, like our sheikh does. They say the earth is not flat. This is a premise. They say the earth is not flat. Therefore, we need a globe to truly express the issue. Now, that right there, they do say that in meaning, but what they would most likely say is the earth is round. Therefore, we need a globe to truly express the issue. But right here, I didn't say it like that they would say the earth is round. That's probably what they would say. Or they would say the earth is a sphere, or the earth has a spherical shape. Therefore, we need a globe to truly express the issue. But because, why I worded it this way? Because even though it's what they say, I didn't want to give fuel to that claim right here. I didn't want to give fuel to the claim that the earth is a sphere right here. So I just avoided those words. And I said here a word that I can agree to, that they would agree to, and I would agree to. The earth is not flat. We're not flat earthers. And according to what we learned from our sheikh, we're not flat earthers, as some people are called. Is it a sphere, though? For sure, the Earth's not like they say. Not the way they describe it on the globe, yani, as a perfectly round sphere that is diagonal and spinning around. It's not like that. It's not flat, though. Okay, we agree. They say, therefore, we need a globe to truly express the issue. And then, in their ignorance, they pull a string from New York to Mecca and say, so this means they're arguing for it. Look how the string goes northeast. If the listener also does not know how to read a map, Yani, the one you're talking, the one he's talking to, if the listener, the one in the audience, or the one that this person who's arguing for Northeast, if he does not know how to read a map, then he would easily accept, especially if he trusts the one who's talking to him. If he sees the one who's talking to him as his imam or as among one of the great sheikhs or a sheikh, then he would accept. All he knows, this one who's listening, all he knows in his own mind is that north is up and south is down. And we already discussed that. That's not even accurate. So I try to avoid saying he's going up towards the north and down towards the south. Let us not conflate that. I did ask one person, which way is north? And that person literally pointed up to the sky. Wallahi. So there are people who think north is up and south is down. This is going to cause you to fall into a mistake. None of these directions are up or down. All of them go off into the horizons. Means, for example, find east, face east. You'll be looking straight ahead, facing east. Now just look towards your right shoulder. Look towards your right shoulder. You're going to be looking into the south. Look towards your left shoulder. You're going to be looking into the north. Turn all the way around. You're going to be looking into the west. There's no up or down involved here. So imagine talking to someone who is thinking north is up and south is down. And he's thinking the earth is diagonal and on an axis. And he thinks that although we perceive the ground below us as horizontal, actually it's diagonal. And then someone he trusts tells him, look how we put the string here, and it goes like this. See, this is northeast. And add to that, he doesn't know how to look at a map. Then he will accept this mistake easily. But if he does know how to look at the map for himself, then he would say, wait, look at the grid. Yeah, even if he's not arguing with him. Let's say he's not arguing with him. Like he himself, as also I had a discussion with a person. One person told me that he used, a person who faced northeast. He told me he used to think the direction is southeast because he looked on the map. So based on looking on the map, he turned south of east. He said, then he talked to someone, I don't know who, and he was saying to the person, Bud, why will we face northeast? Look. But the person convinced him, so he turned. So if a person does know how to look at the map, then he would say, wait, look at the grid. Yeah, look at the lines. The string is turning from northeast to east, then to southeast. That's not how to read a map. And that's not a single direction that can be faced. But this last part he might not say if he's not arguing. He might just say, what? Sheikh, what? Look at the lines on the globe, though. Doesn't this mean if I put my finger right here on New York, and I put my other finger right here on Mecca, and I see that my one finger that's on New York is closer to the top of the globe, and I see that my other finger right here that's on Mecca is closer to the middle of the globe. Uh, doesn't that mean that my finger that's closer to the top of the globe is north of the one that's closer to the middle of the globe? The answer is yes. So what's that person going to say to him? He's going to say something to him. He's going to spin it for him, put a spin on it, and gaslighting it so that he will face the wrong way. Here we have a diagram. Well, what's the name of this diagram here? This one doesn't have a name, it seems. Okay, so we have a diagram here. You see this picture here. You can see this white line. It is bending, obviously. So that's the line that they're going to tell you, that's a straight line. You think it's turning. They're going to say to you, you think it's turning because you don't know how to look at the globe. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. So if someone knows how to look at the globe, or it's going to be a globe because he put a string on the globe, he will say, wait, look at the grid, look at the latitude and longitude lines. The string is turning it's going northeast, and then east, and then southeast. That's not how to read the map. Well, so let's say this one's not even arguing with the one who's telling him. So what that one would say to him, he would ignore that. This one was arguing for northeast. He would ignore that point as if it is child babble. And he would justify his northeast argument saying, don't be ignorant. This is if he's arguing with somebody. Don't be ignorant. It's not changing. It's just one line, one direction. Actually, look from the top and see that it's a straight line. It's the shortest distance from New York to Mecca. Then he's going to shift the globe, as you can see here. So look at the comparison here. Here, look at this top point here, which is supposed to be North Pole. Okay, you see where my cursor is. Okay, now look at the second one. Now you can see where it's been shifted. Here, where my cursor is, was closer to the top of the picture. Now it's a little bit down because it's been shifted, the second picture, so that you can look at this from another perspective in such a way so that you can look at it in such a way that makes the visual of the direction change disappear. The direction change is still there, but just by shifting the object of the globe itself, you become, because of your perspective, seeing only a straight line. This white line here, why is straight? Because the only thing you can see in this line is east. You can't see in this line anything north or anything south in this line itself. Because the angle was changed. The angle was changed. When you just turn it back, then you can see the change between north and south here. And many people who argue for northeast, they do this. Many of them. This argument of theirs absolutely depends on them shifting the globe so that you look at the line from a particular perspective to see it straight. They're going to hold it for you that way. Or if they're doing a video, they're going to hold it to the camera that way so you can see the straightness of the line by that angle. And they're going to say, look, see, it's not changing. So this will only work for someone not looking at the globe like a map, but only as a mere ball. Whoever properly reads the coordinates of the globe will be unable to accept that nonsense. Here, look here. You see this yellow line here? It's turning here, this yellow line. But this yellow line right here, it represents one constant direction, actually. It's representing one constant direction, which is, if you're going towards the right, it's going east. If you're going towards the left, it's going west. And all of these lines here, this line here also, all of these lines that go side to side, they all represent one constant direction. If you're going towards the right, it's east. If you're going towards the left, it's west. So this right here, where you see my my cursor is. This line right here that my cursor is following, it is following one constant direction. If you're going towards the left, it's west. If you're going towards the right, it's east. And likewise, this one here. Okay? So if you understand what that means, and then you look at this line in comparison to those, then you're going to know for sure. This line here is bending. It's not one direction. This line has in it three directions. If we go from the left to the right, it starts off northeast, 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 reaches a point where it's just east, 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 and then reaches a point where it's southeast, southeast, southeast. I think this is very clear for you. Here's a diagram demonstrating the relationship between a globe and a flat map. So you see, here I was showing you where my cursor is on this round one represents constant direction. Going towards the right, it's east. Going towards the left, it's west. When you flatten it out, then you see it's constant direction here. Going towards the right, it's east. Going towards the left, it's west. And that line they had is, as you know, would be going like this, curving right here. Anyway, this one here. So this, you see, this is curving here. Does not follow one straight line. I think this is very clear for you. I accidentally skipped a section though. It's okay. You can go back and catch it. So, in their minds, a person is traveling forward. Travel is not a condition for the Qibla though. And therefore, he is maintaining one constant direction until reaching Mecca. One of them said, do you realize that the pilot is continuing in the same direction he started out? You do realize that the pilot is continuing in the same direction he started out, right? So that's not true. We know for sure this right here from the left to the right is a giant right turn. So he is not ending in the same direction he started. That's untrue. But that's what he said, and that's what they say. So you can't let them get away with that. He said, it is that northeastern direction. Yani, according to him, the pilot is ending in a northeastern direction. He never steers right, he never steers left. That's not true. And you know what happens? He ends up in Mecca. Untrue. He does end up in Mecca, but he turns right. He makes a giant right turn. I say, that person said, this is proof enough. It's not really though. Just like if I was in Mecca and I could see the Kaaba from a mile away, if I was to walk straight, never turning to the right, never turning to the left, and if I wrote this, I would put were. If I were. This is all copy and paste. He said, if I was to walk straight, never turning to the right, never turning to the left, I would walk smack dab into the Kaaba. So that's what he thinks is the case here. Yani, that airplane flight that he's supposing is the same as if he could see the Kaaba from a mile away and then he walked straight into it. It's not the same. The reality is the pilot is going straight. He's not merely going straight, though. He is going straight while also turning. He's turning and going straight at the same time. He's going forward, just like if you're driving and you're on the highway. And the highway, because it's at high speed, the highway, they need to make the turns very wide, right? So you can continue your high speed. You're turning and going forward at the same time. You're not just going straight. This southern direction you say that he's going is a result of the Earth's shape. So he's saying it's not really there. There's not really any southern direction involved here. The Earth's shape, he says, it's a reality we do not ignore. He's saying that because I was arguing with him that we don't need to know the shape of the Earth. What this person did ignore is the fact that north and south are two opposite directions, though. Yani, going from northeast to southeast while moving forward requires a right turn. If one is facing east, the north is to his left and the south is to his right. So, what do you do? This is what you do. If you want, face northeast, for example, just as an experiment. So you say, okay, so if the plane is flying northeast this way, that way is northeast. And then, but southeast is this way. So it must mean then that the plane, just use your hand, say the plane must be going like this all the way till it gets over to this side. Yeah, it means turning. If you can imagine what I'm doing here. It's turning. Keep this in mind here. This is important for you. You're going to tell that person. If you're facing the east, the north is to your left and the south is to your right. Like if someone made this argument for me, I might say to him, do you know that the north is on the left side of east if you're facing east? If you're facing east, that the north is on the left side, it would be on your left side and the south would be on your right side. Do you know that? I expect he's going to say, I don't know it. I'm going to tell him it's the case. So I'm going to tell him that's the case. So there is for sure a turn. He went northeast, so he was going east, and while he was going east, he was going towards his left side because that's northeast. And then eventually, where did he end? He ended up still going east, but going towards his right side. So that means he turned. Is this clear, brothers and sisters? Do you have a question? They are like people who look only at the pictures in a book without reading the words. And then they misinterpret the pictures because of not reading. Why would one not read? One does not read the book either because he does not know how or because he does not want to. Otherwise, let him read the book. And then the book's going to explain everything properly. This is why they discuss the Qibla with any round object. You can put an underline there on the word any. Or even slightly round. We could put underline under the word slightly too. Even slightly round. Even a piece of paper. Wallahi, I've seen that. He'll say to you, no, just give me anything. What? Do you got an orange or something? Give me what? I don't look, give me that paper right there. They'll just ball it up. It's hardly even round when he balls it up and he's gonna say, look, this is fine. So if we just say this is north and this is south here, and then we make our longitude lines merge at the poles and make our latitude lines go all the way around, then what they're going to do is they're going to say, see this balled up piece of paper here? This is going to be fine. Look, first let's find our points. Here's our point A, here's our point B. This one is, let's say, New York. This one is Mecca. And then if we were to put a line over this ball, this line is going to show us the shortest distance from here to here. They say, then once you establish that, now draw in your poles, North Pole, South Pole, draw in your equator, and then draw your uh, latitude line, your longitude lines merging at the poles, and your latitude lines being parallel to the equator. And then you're going to see, he will claim, then you're going to see that the Qibla is northeast. It's not going to be northeast. Just the first part of the line that they put is going to be northeast. Then it's going to turn, go southeast, according to the lines that he will add later. It's going to become like a map when he adds those lines, and then it's not going to be a straight line. If he never added any lines, then he's going to have a way to say this is a straight line over this ball. But when he says, after you establish this line, then add your poles, then add your latitude and longitude lines. When you add your latitude and longitude lines, then what might have possibly been a straight line over that ball definitely becomes a bent line because of what the latitude and longitude lines represent. If that's not clear, let me know, please. This is why they discuss the Qibla with any round object or even slightly round. even a balled up piece of paper, but they reject any and every map that's not a globe, except that optical illusion that's in the beginning of Noah Keller's book that we discussed last time. That's a flat map, and that's 100% acceptable to them, though it is fallacious. The most fallacious flat map I ever saw in my life is acceptable to someone who argues this position. And all the regular standard flat maps that are actually perfectly fine, yani not a single one of them is acceptable to them. What's that flat map that we discussed last time? I'll remind you. This one. This is flat map in Noah Keller's book. For them, perfectly fine, no problem. A-OK. It's not A-OK. Has south going off in 4 different directions. And also, yani, as a result, has north going off in 4 different directions too. But actually has north going off also in 4 other directions. So it has north going in 8 directions and south going off in 8 directions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is fallacious, unusable, unreliable. Just the worst flat map ever. This one's perfectly fine for them. Any other map that's flat, though, they have nothing to do with it. It's not usable to them. See right here. You see these two lined up side by side. One has bending line. If you just shift it, that bending line appears straight to your eye. Only appears to your eye. That's the severe gaslighting. That's person taking advantage of your ignorance. Yani attempting to. That's a person attempting to fool you. May he not be successful. I mean, so this is why they discuss the Qibla with any round object or even slightly round, but they reject any and every map that is not a globe. And by the way, as I'm reading this to you, brothers and sisters, like I said last time, if anything, if any point or argument comes to your mind, ask. And amongst the things I'm doing as I'm reading this to you is I am also relying on your intelligence. Yani, for me to read through this without you commenting is encouraging for me. That I don't have a blunder here. So this is also, yani, for me, whenever I read this, I'm testing it against the minds of people. So that's why if you have something, you see some flaw, something weak, some point someone may raise, feel free to ask, please. So reading the map is not their true concern, even if it is on a sphere. This is why they ignore the latitude and longitude coordinates that prove that Mecca is southeast of the USA, whether on a globe or a flat map. Except when they say the directions are based on the poles. We can come back to that if we need to. And this is why the issue makes sense in their minds. They imagined the string that they pulled over the globe as one direction because they saw a line from point A to point B over a mirror ball. But this is not the way to read a map. One of them said, here's another copy paste, I would say put aside north, south, east, and west and just connect 2 points on a globe or a ball. Yani, a ball, really. He said a globe or a ball, but his real intent here is the ball. Then draw your poles and latitudes. Unless one of your points is at a pole or both points line up on the equator, you will have a direction that has different bearings along its path. You will have, he's saying, one direction that has different bearings along its path. That's what he's calling that turning line. He's calling that turning line one direction that has different bearings along its path. But this is why they will never answer these questions with a straight, honest answer. We want the answer. You don't ask without getting your answer. Is Mecca closer to the equator than we are? You're going to answer me, inshallah, or tell me I don't know. Let's say he says, I don't know. I'm going to tell him, okay, the answer is yes. Well, I'm going to ask you another question. Are we closer to the North Pole than Mecca is? So maybe he'll say, I don't know. I'm going to tell him the answer is yes. But they know the answers, though. Someone who argues for Northeast, he's going to know the answers to these questions. That's why he's not going to answer these questions. I have asked these questions. I never got the answer to these questions. They only answer such questions with lengthy explanation. What's all that lengthy explanation? So if you have any experience with people, then that lengthy explanation is his attempt to dodge your question and to keep saying what he's saying. So you can say a lot of things and bury a non-answer in a word salad, as they say. Although these questions are very simply answered with a mere yes, and nothing more is needed. These questions don't require any lengthy answer. Is Mecca closer to the equator than we are? That's just yes or no. It's not going to give you that simple yes or no. Are we closer to the North Pole than Mecca is? It's almost the same question. Yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's the same question. The answer is yes, we are closer to the North Pole than Mecca is. If they were looking at the globe as a map, then their claim would be as ridiculous to them as it is to everyone who reads it as a map. But if they look at it like a mere sphere or a mere ball, seeking the shortest distance and not the direction between points A and B, and not being concerned with cardinal directions of north, south, east, and west, then, if that's one situation, then his math is correct for the shortest distance between 2 points on the object. Any question here? Yeah. Yes. Uh, okay, so I'm not saying we don't go by maps and globes. When I say the map is not a Qibla proof, I'm not saying it's not usable. The maps, there's nothing wrong with those maps. I mean, just for what they represent. Now, for it, what is a problem is when a person theorizes what the exact shape of the Earth is, or when a person even theorizes that the map is for sure complete, there's nothing left to find, then this has its implications. Uh, Yani. And what I am suggesting, someone might try to take advantage and say I'm talking crazy talk. What do you mean theorize that the Earth, theorize the shape of the Earth? What do you mean if someone theorizes if the map is complete or not? So I'll clarify. I already did though, but I'll clarify again. Meaning, in our religion, we have standards. Standards for deeming things to be 100% true or not. Amongst those standards is observation. So no one observed the earth in such a way that he can substantiate its total shape. Yeah, with knowledge, not theory. Someone might say, "Well, they have pictures of the whole earth." Do they? Which camera they had that was able to take a picture of the entire earth? So these maps, they are useful. They're not wrong. Yani, for what the humans have observed of the earth and what the humans have mapped of the earth. These continents, North, South American continents, Africa, Eurasian continent, Australia, and all the islands in between, and the oceans, Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean. This is observed and mapped. There's no issue here. But that doesn't make the map a Kepler proof. The Kepler proof is going to be the sun, the North Star, and these maps do not contradict these Kepler proofs. It's like the map is like a compass. The compass itself is not a Qibla proof, but if you test it and find that it works accurately, you can use it because it's going to be complying with the Qibla proofs. The maps, they comply with the Qibla proofs, the globes and the flat maps. So, do you want to repeat your question after I said that? Or do you want to adjust your or continue your question? Yes, yes. So, as if your question is, how do we know we're closer to the North Pole and that Mecca is closer to the equator? Yeah, by the North Star and by other things, Yani. Even just not just that, just by, for example, uh, and I asked this to a person: what direction do the birds fly in the winter? So the answer for us in the northern hemisphere, what's called northern hemisphere, so-called northern hemisphere. For us, the birds fly south in the winter. Why? I'm asking why they do that. He might say, "What's this got to do with the Qibla?" I might say to him, "Entertain me. I'm gonna show you. Why do birds fly south in the winter?" So what's the answer? Because it's warm. It's warm there. So Mecca, where Mecca is in the snow or in the desert compared to us? Mecca is in the snow or it's in the desert. So if he knows where you're getting at, he might stop the conversation here. That's what I have experienced from a person. When he saw what I was getting at with my talk about the birds, his eyebrows went up and he turned around and walked away. Because he knows Mecca is where it's warm, not in the snow. So the point of asking which way the birds fly in the winter for us, which is south, and why would they do that? Because they were going towards the warm areas. He knew what I was getting at. So he didn't want to have to confirm that real fact that Mecca is in a warm area compared to Yani, a place that's closer to the snowy part of the world on the northern side. So he just stopped talking. So we know that Mecca is south of us, Yani is closer to the equator. Yani, we know that Mecca is south of us, aka closer to the equator than we are, closer to the equator than we are, based on facts, based on known things, like knowing that it's warm there at the equator and that it's cold. The further south you go, the colder it gets. Uh, I meant to say north, but it's true too for south. Further north you go from the equator, the colder it gets. Uh, so you get up there, high up in Canada, North Canada somewhere, high North Europe somewhere. Where's freezing cold there? Because of if you, how high north you are. How high north you are. And I'm saying high in north because you know north is not up. So it's not confusing for you. Is that clear what I'm saying to you? How I'm answering you? All right. So you said you're good. Let's read this other section that I skipped by accident. The difference between a map and the real Earth. There are very important differences between a map and the real Earth. If you are unaware of them, then you will be confused without realizing, because you're going to think that this earth is like a giant globe. How do you determine directions in each respective case, in the case of a map and in the case of the real earth? In the real physical world, a learned Muslim would look for the sunrise for east, and the sunset for west, and the North Star for north, and put his back to it for the south, for example. This is for the Muslim who wants to practice like the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, إن خيار عباد الله الذين يراعون الشمس والقمر والنجوم والأظلة لذكر الله. Surely, the best of the slaves of Allah are those who observe the sun, the moon, the stars, and the shadows for the remembrance of Allah. Prayer. So that's for the real earth. A map, on the other hand, does not have such indicators. Yani, on a map, you're not going to look for sunrise and sunset. Instead, because the map is only a model and a representation, a map uses a grid called latitude and longitude lines. Does the real Earth have latitude and longitude lines? No. The fact that it is by this grid on a map the directions are represented that makes putting a string on the globe to prove the direction one of the most uninformed, uneducated things that a person could do. You're supposed to read the grid, not put a string over the globe. Those imaginary markers do not determine any real directions. Yani, rather, you just need something on the map to represent the directions. Also, the globe is not a Qibla proof, like we clarified. On the real Earth, North America is closer to the Arctic. So even if you don't want to say North Pole, the Arctic, the cold lands. Who has been to Canada? Here. Maybe you have been to Canada. So cold there, even without going very far north. Just go enjoy winter in Montreal and see how your backside appreciates that. So, North America is closer to the Arctic on the real Earth. The Arctic, where it is cold. And Mecca is in the tropics, where it is warm, south of the USA. The direction the birds fly to escape the cold of winter, south. On maps, latitude and longitude coordinates put Mecca east and south of the USA. Mecca's latitude coordinates are 21 degrees north, which is south of all coordinates in the United States or Canada. Key West, Florida, among the southernmost points in the United States, is at 24 degrees north. So, Yani, just shy of being due east. Just shy, according to the coordinates, just shy of being due east. So that's what the map says. Here's a great example of saying the map is not a Kipple proof. Let's say you were in Key West, Florida. According to the maps, 24 degrees north of Mecca. I'm sorry, it's 24 degrees north. Its coordinates is Yani from the equator, 24 degrees north of the equator. While the coordinate of Mecca on the map is 21 degrees north. So according to that, it is south. Mecca is south of Key West, Florida. By a few degrees, small number of degrees. But what if you were really a great expert at this? A really, really great expert. And you were in Key West, Florida. you might do your ijtihad and you might say, it looks like it's east to me. My knowledge of the North Star without looking at these maps, without me needing to look at these maps, by my expertise of being a scoutmaster and a soldier and a sailor and a pilot, I'm too good at this. And according to my determination, despite the map, my determination has me having to face due east right here. Okay, so then based on your expertise and your knowledge, you're going to say. That's just an imaginary scenario I gave you. I'm not saying it's real. I just want to I want to give you a scenario that makes you understand that it's not the map. It is the North Star or yani, the sun, etc. And the more you are an expert at that, then that's what you're going to rely on. Not the map per se, but those signs. If you were such an expert that you knew the elevation, you knew how to measure the elevation of the North Star from the horizon in Mecca, and you knew how to measure the elevation of the North Star from the horizon wherever you are in Key West, Florida, for example, and you knew how to subtract the difference between those two, then you're going to go by that, not by the map per se. Also, South America must face northeast. All of South America, the entire South American continent faces northeast. Who is ignorant about geography? How could the southernmost Chile, how could southernmost Chile face northeast and northernmost Canada also face northeast? That's a question of mine that I ask to people. They'll say, yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, straight face. Straight face. No, it's true, yeah. So to answer To answer this, one of them would use a distorted map, a distorted flat map, after discrediting every flat map for being distorted. This one here that's being displayed to you. I am not the one who made this up. This is how someone answered my question. I didn't even expect for him to have an answer. So he's like, oh, that's your question? Surprise! Here's your answer. So I'm like, oh man, these guys, they just pulling stuff from all over the place. How would southernmost Chile face northeast and northernmost Canada face northeast too? They say, yeah, no, that's right, bro. You don't know. What this means right here with these two arrows, this means that east is north of west. This means that east is north of west. Thus, according to them, the entire Western Hemisphere, its northern part and its southern part. So all of this here on the left side, all of this here is supposed to be here, the Western Hemisphere. According to them, the entire Western Hemisphere, the northern part of it and the southern part of it must face northeast. And this is clearly absurd. And it's the same person telling you you don't know geography. Because Siberia faces southwest and Australia faces northwest and South America faces northeast. And according to them, no one on the earth on a global scale should be facing southeast. Here's a map. Here's Mecca's in the middle, as it should be. This map, it agrees with what Abu Hanifa said. South is the Qibla of the people of the north. North is the Qibla of the people of the south. West is the Qibla of the people of the east. East is the Qibla of the people of the west. And so accordingly, whoever was northeast of the Qibla has to face southwest. Whoever was southwest of the Qibla has to face northeast. So look, according to their way, there is no one who should be facing in this world map here. There is no area in the world that should be facing southeast. South America is facing northeast. Australia is facing northwest, and Yani Siberia is facing southwest. Who's facing southeast? According to them, no one should be. So you can see this red line here, this red arrow, how it is deviated. So what they're going to say to this, they're going to say, yes, because you're looking at a flat map, bro. The earth is not flat. Whether Mecca is south of the USA or not is not actually the question at hand. However, they most likely will never willingly confess to the fact. Some may end the conversation if you insist that he answers with a mere, unadulterated, and unexplained yes or no. Don't explain. Just answer me first. If you think you need to explain, what I need you to do first, though, is don't explain. Just tell me your bare answer. If you can. If you think that your bare answer, if you have confidence in it, then give it to me. Yes or no? On this earth that is not a map, and this earth that has no latitude or longitude lines drawn on it, is Mecca physically south of the USA? Why it says the sentence here? Whether Mecca is south of the USA or not is not actually the question at hand. For them, that's the case. However, they most likely will never willingly confess to the fact that it is. وبالله التوفيق. آمين وفيك. ما شاء الله. طيب. Any question? Yes. Uh, I live for this here. Subhanallah. I remember as a child, like 13 years old, being so interested in maps. And I loved looking at maps, and I could roughly draw a map just from my mind. And I remember once my social studies teacher, he uh, started asking me randomly, like out of nowhere, started asking me, what country is this? What country is this? What country is this? Where is this? Where is that? Where's such and such? Where's such and such? And I could answer all of his questions. Islamic centric maps. I don't know. This one we were just looking at with Mecca in the middle. I don't know if one would call that Islamic centric, but Mecca should be in the middle. That's correct. Mecca is in the center of the world. MashaAllah. So this one, what page is this? Page 40. This one has Mecca in the middle, but it looks like a regular map. So maybe not that one. Also, there's another one that has Mecca in the middle. This one that's on page 48. If you look at the map on page 48, very interesting. This one has Mecca in the middle, approximately. SubhanAllah. But I don't know, though. I don't know. Should be. Probably older. If there is something like that, it's probably older map for Western dominance. No, they for sure would have had cartographers. But apparently, though, they didn't know about this side of the world, so they're not going to have that. But they did have maps. For sure, they had maps. But you're saying Islamic per se. It should be, though, that those maps matched other maps. If the people had dispute about the maps, then we would see that dispute. There's no dispute, though. Like, look how the people differ about Bible. There's so many versions of it. Because those versions really exist, then the people are able to say, no, look at this one. No, look at that one. No, it's perverted. No, this one's more accurate or less accurate. There doesn't seem to be any dispute about the maps. But one thing that I'm drawing attention to in these lessons is we don't have a religious evidence unless someone can show it that the map is complete. And that's not something to laugh at, because someone's going to laugh at that out of his assumptions. Yes, there are areas not revealed to us that we don't know about, but even not just that, even in what has been mapped, there's still land inside of what has been mapped that's uncharted. It's not every single nook and cranny of these continents that we know have been trekked. No. MashaAllah. Wallahu a'lam.